to the music examination. The hosts of the show are Zag, Ness, and Curtis, who will be discussing, debating, and dissecting classic rock and roll. Let the show begin.
Are we going?
We are going.
Okay. All right. So anything new, guys? No? Okay, we'll just
We're
jump
not doing that bit anymore.
Okay, we'll just jump
It
right
takes
into the
forever.
show. All right.
Got any more Dan Fogelberg?
Yeah, it'll be like a 30-minute thing there.
Movies that are coming out, or
No, but there was something else I did see on Dan Fogelberg.
that's okay.
It was a list of bands or something. He played. There was a tribute album, I think, for Nicolette Larson. And there was a bunch of acts that played songs or something like that. This is an older album or something like that. I think Dan Fogelberg was on that.
He was a roadie.
No, he was. He
was doing the
Does he have like a
check 1,
does he
2.
have a concert video or anything?
Yeah, does he have like a live album?
I could probably. Yeah, he does. He does.
He
have
does
a live
not.
album. Yes, he does. He actually does.
Where'd they record it at? Like, what gym?
Was there anybody there?
You know how they remember when Steve Dahl did the disco night and was
Yes.
blowing albums up? They should do
Yeah.
a Dan Fogelberg night like that and blow up all his albums.
No, well, people be like clamoring for him. Like, no, we can't blow these up.
They couldn't find
It's Dan
any.
Fogelberg
They
blow up
couldn't find any Dan
album night.
Fogelberg albums to blow up. But anyway.
All right. Today's topic is going to be Battle of the Bands.
Okay.
We got Metallica versus Megadeth, which is for the metal guys. We have the piano guys, which is Billy Joel versus Elton John.
Okay.
And then we got the girl groups of the 80s, the Go-Go's and the Bangles.
Okay.
So would you like to start one off? Pick a...
Well, let's do the Megadeth Metallica one. I'm going to go on the side of Megadeth because there wouldn't be Metallica without a Megadeth, without Dave Mustaine.
Yes, because he was in the band.
So, exactly. And it just seems like Megadeth's sound is more... It's more topical and more direct, not compromising. I can't stand Lars's drumming in Metallica. It's just so bad.
Really?
And he wrote about songs, and a lot of Metallica stuff so vague, whereas Megadeth was writing songs about like incest and Hangar 18 and Sweating Bullets, stuff that was more topical,
Right, more relevant.
Yeah, more, it's about something as opposed to just some kind of vague,
Right, about
ramblings and stuff.
Yeah, writing about some of the what's going on in Washington and stuff like that.
Yeah, they were very political. And they were doing, as far as like it talked about his own addictions, like Sweating Bullets, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then actually, for as amazing as how many guys he's been through, the sound still sounds pretty good. It's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Because he's had, 40 guitar players, 70 drummers.
Yeah.
He's been through a few.
Actually, there was a local guy, a local drummer that was in the band.
Nick Menza.
No, Chuck.
Oh, Chuck. I know what you're talking about now.
During the...
Yep.
Oh,
he was a heavy
that,
set guy.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I remember
he was actually a roadie. He was actually a roadie for a while on that.
Right.
He replaced. He replaced the original drummer, Gar Samuelson or something like that.
I mean, and obviously they did a couple ballads. Like I did Tout Le Monde, which is the song they're going to play at my funeral. Make sure that when I die, you guys have them play Tout Le Monde.
Okay.
But Megadeth got really, Metallica got really too in that genre, they kind of got soft, like you talked about a couple podcasts earlier. And even like Enter Sandman, I got tired of the foot pedal, the wah-wah thing. They would use that a lot. And again, that and Lars's drumming drove me nuts. So I got to vote for Megadeth.
I'm a Megadeth fan too. So, the one thing that always was kind of interesting to me is after Cliff died and they brought Jason in, and they basically, it was like they both James and Lars took out their issues about Cliff dying on him. It's like, dude, you hired the guy in the band.
Oh, I did hear stories about that. They used to just not physically abuse him, just abuse him.
Right. It's like
just mentally abuse him by just
hired him in the band. Why are you?
And then they also had that documentary where they had their own group therapy.
Yeah, yelling
it's
at
like,
each other.
Come on.
They've had some issues.
But I mean,
I still like I've got Master of Puppets. I've got Ride the Lightning.
Well, I've got Megadeth. I keep saying that. I got Metallica. Elton. It just seems like it just... There's more of a sense of urgency with Megadeth songs. Like,
Yes.
the guitar playing always sounded just a little bit more fast, or a little bit
more aggressive.
Yes, very good word.
Well, I chose Megadeth too, and I agree with the point you made about Dave Mustaine being there from the get-go. I just think that he stuck with the Metallica, the original Metallica sound.
Yes,
he did.
There you go. That's a good point.
Most of the time,
Right?
And a couple ballads, but Metallica. When you look back and when they first came out, and then really with the Black album, which was the big album, so that's probably their biggest album.
Yeah.
They strayed away from that. I mean, I'm not saying all of it, but like you said, Enter Sandman,
The Unforgiven,
what's the Hero?
Hero of the Day,
Hero of the Day. That really strayed from that metal. I mean, everybody's talking that they're the metal gods of the speed metal and all that kind of stuff, which you can say they were, but they didn't really stick to that.
No.
And you got the reason why I think you could say they're bigger than Megadeth is just the promotional end of it. They got obviously a great team.
Oh yeah.
That handles that, and I don't think Dave ever got to that point. He wasn't. I don't know how that even works. How you get to be as big as Metallica, where they're now they're playing 24 shows at that Sphere.
No repeat weekends.
Yeah. They can fly anywhere. They're obviously not. They're mega wealthy. Where Dave Mustaine, I'm not sure he's not hurting, but he's not playing near the crowds that Metallica is. But
Well, and we talked about this earlier too. It's like, but Megadeth, damn it, it's Metallica who got on some really good tours, like Ozzy and stuff, where he got in front of a lot of people that probably didn't like that kind of music or didn't know them.
They were grinding in the first part of their career, no doubt. But they obviously formulated a good company where they got a great management staff.
And Enter Sandman, this was the one song that just pushed them over the edge where it's like, okay, now that album was really
it really went away from some hardcore Metallica people didn't like
it wasn't
that.
Ride the Lightning, you're right. It wasn't
but it got
Seek and Destroy.
Again, I wouldn't say it's commercial music, but
for them.
It was for them.
Yeah.
Because when they did the Monsters of Rock tour,
I remember that. Yeah, we went to the Silverdome.
Yeah, there was Kingdom Come, then Metallica, then Dokken. Well, that was when Metallica was that was when they were starting to rise up, because I think that was when Masters of Puppets.
Yeah, it was pre-Black Album.
Yeah.
I know that.
And I remember listening to an interview with Don Dokken. He went up to the promoter and said, "Look, Metallica's on the rise. Why don't you just flip us too? We'll open for them.
We want to get the hell out of here."
Yeah, because it goes, man, when we go on stage after that, the crowd's in a frenzy, and then we come out and we're playing our melodic metal stuff, and it's just not going.
Again.
It's just not going over well.
Yeah.
And he goes, you know what? He goes, the freaking promoter goes, no, I'm paying you more than I'm paying Metallica, so we're staying right there. And he goes, oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is. I do like them, but I like the early stuff. I like the Ride the Lightning and Masters of Puppets.
Yeah, it's
more.
like I don't dislike Metallica.
No.
I
But
listen to
Megadeth,
them. But Megadeth, I think, if you want to stick to the formula, they really haven't strayed far off. I mean,
They had the one album called Risk that kind of was.
Oh yeah, that's later on. Yeah, but I'm thinking like Euthanasia. That album's incredible.
Countdown to Extinction. And,
Yeah.
But
he's kept the sound, and that's the main thing. I think he could have gone the Metallica way if he wanted. I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
pick
up an outside write or something.
That was what he wanted to write. That's what he started off doing, and he stuck. And probably cost him. He could, who knows? He could have been as big as Metallica. You don't know.
Right. I know. I remember reading an article about it. He was kind of a little irritated or pissed off that when they had that when they got that rise up, when they became, the Metallica, he was like, fuck. He goes, here I am working my ass off.
Do we know if he gets any royalties from the stuff, the album that he was on?
I'm sure he was.
He really
split four ways, or did he get?
He technically really wasn't when they recorded that album.
Oh, you're right. He was never. He was more a touring guy. Yes.
No, he was out by then.
Right.
He was out by the time.
But I mean, he was touring.
He
prior to getting the record release. He was.
Yes, he was in the band. They
that's
were
right.
writing material. I think some of his stuff is actually on there.
But he just put one of his songs from Metallica on his new album. I can't think of which one it was. They said
I've heard about that. Yes.
So I think it's a bonus track or something. So I don't think he could have done that. He must have some publishing.
I'm sure he
he's
does.
Not a stupid guy. I don't think.
I think those guys have buried the hatchet. I think they still talk now.
Yeah, he said he has.
Yeah, he was more pissed off. Yeah, Kurt would say he's more pissed off on the old days.
I think Jason Newsted's more pissed off than anybody.
He like says
he was a punching bag.
Yeah, he's like, wait a minute, you guys hired me, and here I am. I'm like, because he wanted to start doing some of his own stuff too. After a while, he's like, look, I can't really contribute anything.
Yeah, you're kind of shutting them out.
Right. So and
that was weird.
Okay.
That's why he bailed, because he wanted to start doing some of his other stuff.
Okay. All right. Covered that one.
So you want to pick one, Zag?
I'll pick. It doesn't really matter. I'll go. Let's do the Elton John, Billy Joel.
Okay.
And I'm going Elton John.
Okay.
Not that I dislike Billy Joel. I like Billy Joel from the beginning. The first couple albums. He has the one album he came out with. The first one was, I think, nobody knows. But from The Stranger to 52nd Street, Glass Houses. I thought that's where I liked Billy Joel.
Okay.
He was a little. Billy Joel's never been a hardcore rocker, but some of the songs were a little heavier songs. Mm-hmm. But when he started getting into the After the Fire, Uptown Girl, the poppy type stuff,
the doo-wop.
I thought it got a little silly for me. No. Where Elton John, he had his periods, like when he did the Little Genie and that kind of stuff. But you can't. I mean, you got to. Elton John's just he's a master. The Bernie Taupin songs, his piano playing, his voice.
Well, Tumbleweed Connection and Madman Across the Water are.
Yeah, and he's had his failure albums that weren't really good albums, but I mean, my God, the guy's output.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I did that. I both of these, when we did the Battle of Bands, I wrote next to him how many albums out. Yeah. Elton John's got over 40 albums out. Billy Joel's got 18.
Yeah, Billy Joel quit writing years ago.
Well, because it was weird. Because
he's got a great body of work. You could find something in anything of Elton John.
Yeah, and plus, my daughter likes him. Mm-hmm. She loves Elton John. Yeah. I mean, when you can connect with a young era like that, or you can connect with 70-year-old people, you're doing something right. But Taya couldn't. I don't think she can name you a Billy Joel song. I bet you she can.
It just seemed like for Billy Joel, to me,
and I'm not discounting. He's a talented guy. I mean, I just. His earlier part of his career, I thought he was on the right, a better path than when he got, and I don't know what changed it.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to get at. It's like after 52nd Street, it seemed like to me, it was a conscious effort, he wanted to play less piano. Like Elton John always. If you listen from the very Elton John's first album to whatever he's playing now, he'll always have piano in the song. Billy Joel got the doo-wop. He was doing less piano, more pop rock stuff like We Start the Fire. There wasn't a lot of him playing. He just wanted to move into more rock.
Yeah,
and he was looking for credibility there. He was trying to get some credibility, and it just seemed like he was moving away from what made him famous. Where Elton he kept playing his piano, whether he's doing Leon Russell tributes or if he was just playing stuff for the first album. He just kept playing. He just wasn't one of those guys who's just going to sit here behind a mic and stuff and sing Uptown Girl.
Now, when I was researching both of the artists, I was like, say, Elton's got 40 albums. He was putting an album out for a while, every year. I'm like,
he took that one little break,
But going into the 80s,
but he took a little break, and then he did some different albums that they didn't go. He didn't do a disco album, or he never.
Which is weird given his proclivity for men.
Yeah, but like you said, he had his era with the costumes and the glasses,
right?
But his music has stayed true, and the production's just been unreal.
I think the earlier stuff, like say. Honky Cat, Tumbleweed Connection, Madman Across the Water, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and stuff like that.
Mona Lisa and Mad Hatters.
Yes, which is a really good song. And then he that was more album like written. Then he started, when he got into the later 70s going into the 80s, he started doing like obviously when John Lennon died, they were good friends. He wrote like Empty Gardens and Hey Hey Johnny and stuff like that. He started doing a little more singles more, like
Yeah.
But even his poppiest,
but they were still good. I mean, they were still
even
he's
at
still
his poppiest,
Yeah.
like I'm Still Standing,
Yeah,
still
which is-
they're still
right,
good.
right,
What a
it's
great
still-
song,
yeah.
and it's got piano
And
in
that
it.
one,
or I guess why they call it the blues. We
Yeah.
got Stevie Wonder playing the harmonica.
Yeah,
that's
it's still
brilliant.
Right, it's still a good
And
song.
this
That's what I'm
guy's
saying. Is
25 albums into his
The
career.
only
yet?
criticism I could really say for Elton John would be the Lion King type thing. That really. Yeah.
I think he may have got dragged into that.
But you can't blame him. I mean,
No.
he did
It was a
everything
huge-
else.
it was
yeah,
a
that,
huge hit.
he did
He did a
struck gold
movie.
on that
He
too.
did,
Yeah.
he did
Yeah.
the Pinball Wizard and
Right, yeah.
Tommy and all that. So, I'm not going to knock him for that. I mean, but if I was going to find criticism, I think that was kind of.
I think it's
weird.
it's just sometimes it's like to try keep doing the same format year after year after year. A lot of these artists go, I don't want to do that. I want to at least branch out and try something different, just to get my creative sense going in a different direction for a while.
And
then
he's
pull it
got
back
such
in.
a body of work. You can find something in anything.
Well, like you said about Leon Russell, they did a duet album together, which is kind of cool.
Which is the weirdest thing because those two guys are so different.
Yes.
But it's just.
And
he's
It worked. Though. It
loved.
wasn't. I
He
listened
loved
to it. It wasn't
Leon
bad.
Russell.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
No.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about going with Billy Joel is, I mean, like the Stranger album. You know how many albums he had before that?
I want to say.
I don't know
like
how many, but he had a couple.
Couple.
Three.
Yeah.
Three. And the interesting thing that I was doing it was actually the first one was Cold Spring Harbor, and the very first song in there the very first song off that album was She's Got Away, and that, which is kind of interesting because all it is really him and a piano. To start out your career, when you buy the album and you put the first song on, you go, well, this is kind of interesting. Let's see where this is going. And obviously the Piano Man, which was a big hit, and that. But I mean, the Stranger album, to me is one of my favorite albums. It's weird because both of them, like, and Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, if I'm going to list like 10 of my favorite albums, both of them
Well, I
fit
said
right in there.
that era of his time there, those three albums in a row that he did, I think was his best work, and I just,
well,
it's
well,
it's
the
so
thing-
weird because like when you talk about the later stuff,
it's all hit
it's
singles.
a lot different, but it's
but see, that was
hard
also
to pinpoint what he did different.
Well, see, that was also the time when the Billy Joel was actually a band with Liberty, DeVito, and and they had, what was that, the bass player and stuff for that,
Steinman or Steinberg or something. Yeah.
And then he got screwed over shortly after, I think it was 52nd Street. He got screwed over by his brother-in-law from his first marriage.
When was it that he had the mental problems? Like he was thinking about suicide. Was that before?
that thing was later.
That was way later.
Was it later?
And
Yeah.
that led to him crashing his motorcycle or something in a house or something.
So, like,
or
what part of
crashes-
it?
But see, the thing is he all of a sudden it went from a band when all the guys were a band to it's my name on the marquee, so it's me and you guys are going to be hired guns, and which pissed off everybody. And then all of a sudden that's when he started writing, like, just concentrating on kind of like pop hit singles in a way, where he's getting away from, like you said, the keyboard stuff.
So now Elton John started out as a singer-songwriter. The first album was all him under just a piano. And then he brought in Davy Johnson in the band on Honky Chateau. But I don't think he ever really, it was never really the Elton John band. I don't think those guys were ever pissed off or anything. I think they were happy. Billy Joel wanted to make it seem like he was a band.
They were a band.
Yeah.
They were actually a band. They were splitting everything, was 4 or 5 ways.
Right.
All the touring, everything was split as a band.
Right.
They were, even though the name of it was Billy Joel, they were still going out as a band. They were all involved in that, and then that's when he come up and said, "Sorry, guys."
Did he write with anybody? I never looked. Did he write with people? Or was he the sole writer of everything?
No, he's had some other. Other people were writing with him, I think.
I bet you earlier he wrote more of the songs, and the later stuff, I'll bet he had some people he wrote with. I never. I
think the early stuff was a lot of him.
Yeah.
And that, I think, but later on he started getting into some of the other.
Yeah.
Guys, who would you vote for? Billy Joel?
That was another Fleetwood Mac Eagles type
come
thing.
on! You're not going to spend 10 minutes
you're
doing
not
that.
Your vote. You can't do that. You got to pick one. I picked Elton John.
I picked Elton John.
Damn it!
It wasn't a landslide, but it was. It's definitely Elton John.
I'm going to probably go with Elton John just a little bit more because
You really want Billy Joel.
because of that.
Because we voted. You want to vote with. You wanted to say Billy.
All right, I'll
with
say
the cool
Billy
kid.
Joel.
I
I'm going to say Billy Joel.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to be the good. I'm going to be the guy because
you may
the
be
Stranger
right.
album.
How could
Because the
you do
Stranger album
that?
is one of my favorite
How
albums.
could you do that, big shot?
You may be right.
You had to be a big shot, DJ.
Maybe it's a lunatic you're looking for. I don't know.
I got it all figured out. I got it all figured out.
All right, enough of the bad puns.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So that leaves the last one. Which one
Yes.
is that? Unless you got
The
anything else to say.
The Go-Go's and the Bangles.
Okay.
Two big girl groups. I mean, obviously the Go-Go's were the first all-girl group in the rock era to kind of hit it big or
No, the
something like that.
Runaways.
Huh?
The Runaways.
Yeah, but they didn't. But the Go-Go's had the the Go-Go's had
sales.
the album sales.
Actually, Diana Ross Supreme was the first big girl group.
That's true. Yes.
But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. But go. Yeah.
Andrew Sisters.
Yeah.
Oh, God, we keep going back. Jeez.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, obviously, We Got the Beat album was a huge hit. It was interesting because they started out kind of as a punk band in a way. Which and if you think about it, even the Bangles were a little. Didn't they start out kind of?
No, they were more 60s Birds, West Coast.
Yes.
They were more guitar jangly stuff.
Yeah, folkly type, yes.
Where the Go-Go's were kind of a new wave,
punk band.
Really kind of
Actually,
short songs. Where
yes.
Where the Bangles were actually more... They were better
Constructive, yes.
instruments.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, because actually they were big into
better
also Simon and Garfunkel.
Right, stuff like that.
Yeah, because they actually did a couple.
That's weird, too, because Go-Go's only had 4 albums out.
Yes,
Bangles
I
had
know.
6.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I thought they'd been around longer than that. I looked at them going, I could double check that and go, no, that's right.
When I researched it too, I was like, I knew that,
And it was weird because the Go-Go started in 81, the Bangles started in 84, so there was enough of a gap there, but it just seemed like they were around a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of weird.
Well, then they ran into problems, didn't they? Remember,
Go-Go's?
what's her name? Went out and did solo.
Yeah.
Kind of pissed
Well,
them off.
She did the movie The
so
All-Nighter.
Belinda and Susanna Hoff both left, but the Go-Go's, it was basically because they were all falling apart.
Right.
They were all functioning drug addicts, and they were.
I seen. I don't know.
The
There
Bangles,
was
it was more. The management was pushing Susanna out front, and
Yes.
then the rest of the band was going, "No bullshit. This is
Right,
a
yep.
band type situation." So they were more
Yeah.
pissed off because they were, Susanna was being pushed forward, and they were being held back. Where the Go-Go's just kind of like they were just falling apart at the
Right.
seams, and they just, they were struggling for.
They were bitching and bitching at each other, and just everybody was kind of, and then Belinda went out and had that excellent solo career.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I saw her a couple times on her solo
Yeah.
career. Yeah. So who are you picking?
I'm gonna go with the Bangles,
Okay.
just because I like.
All right, I'll go with the Bangles too.
Yeah, because I like
The
Vicky.
albums were pretty solid.
and actually,
Like a different light and all over the place. Those were
I
front to back pretty solid.
and-
Where the Go-Go's could kind of get like some of the songs could get kind of really simplistic and stuff,
Yeah.
but it had a good beat.
Yeah.
We got the beat.
Yes, we got
but
the beat.
I mean, it just seemed like the Bangles knew their way around their instruments a lot better.
Yeah, and like they were. And the weird thing was that "Walk Like an Egyptian" song was originally supposed to be
Walk with a Direction?
Debbie's lead vocals. She was supposed to be lead vocals on that song originally. The drummer.
Yeah.
They were giving her a spotlight song, and then when they went to record it and everything, it ended up being there was no drum playing on it, and all she did was whistle through it.
Just play the tambourines.
Yeah, she just did the
Pissed her
tambourine
off.
thing, which is kind of weird. I think that was kind of like, all right, what the hell's going on here?
Well, and to be fair though, Susanna did try to make the peace and stuff, but I mean, with the management saying shit, it's like, what can I do, guys?
Yeah.
They're making me do the interviews and making it. I mean, you could sit there and you'd be, I'm this, that, and the other thing. But she tried to keep it together, tried to, keep everybody involved, but it just wasn't working.
Yeah. No, and plus I always had a kind of a crush on Vicky back in the early days there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
how you're basing this on?
Yes.
If I had to say,
did
I have a crush on somebody, it would.
Michael?
No, she wasn't pissed off. Yeah. Suzanne was too easy. Maybe Gina Shock, the drummer for the Go-Go's.
Okay.
I could go there. Yeah.
So,
I believe she doesn't even like guys. So.
That's what I'm thinking. You see those pictures later on. Her hair's got really short. I don't think she likes sticks.
Yeah, no. All right, I'm going to put my vote in because it was a no. It wasn't even a contest with me.
Neither one of them.
I'm going Go-Go's.
All right.
Really?
Go-Go's.
Yeah.
Really? And why?
Why? Because I think the Go-Go, like you said, they were more of a punk band. Their lightest album was what was it? Talk Show.
Yep.
But it still had a couple good songs on it. But I think
about
the Bangles for me, I just they had a couple hits. Their hits were more cover tunes. Than they were originals. Where the Go-Go's hits were, except for what Shady. No, not that's the Bangles.
Cool Jerk.
Cool Jerk.
Yeah, was.
They wrote them songs and they were hits. We Got the Beat, Vacation.
Yep.
I'm not saying that the Bangles originals weren't good, but their real work and what made them popular you're right. That makes sense. Kind of cover songs.
I could see that.
And I don't know. I don't dislike the Bangles. It's just if I'm going to pick out of the two who I'm going to throw on more to listen to, would be the Go-Go's.
No,
no problem.
Have you guys heard their last album? God Save the Go-Go's?
Go-Go's?
Yeah.
No.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah.
Is it originals or is it? I thought it was a compilation.
No, it's
okay.
Yeah,
they threw their here and there covers in, but they wrote a lot of their music.
Check that out.
You could actually bring it up on YouTube.
Okay.
I brought it up on YouTube and I listened to it. I'm like, wow.
Isn't that handy as hell?
Yeah.
That's horrible because you're not paying. You could just put in like Go-Go's, God say the Go-Go's, and the whole list will right there. And obviously you got to go through skip through the commercials and stuff, the ads. But it's like, well, this is cool. Okay, I'll buy this album, or I won't buy this album.
Yeah.
Well, I think you can subscribe. You can
but I'm not paying more.
You can pay YouTube on something.
You
don't
can
get
buy
the
the
commercials.
YouTube.
I have no problem hitting the skip. I'm not paying any more. Money
but it was. I mean, it's just basically it's just the sound. There's no video or nothing with it. It's just a picture
just the
of
album cover. Yeah,
and
I do that all the
listened
time.
to it, and it was like I say, it was.
I listened to the last Casey Musgraves album that way. Just picture her, and it just goes on the right side. It's got to go through the whole thing there.
Yeah. But no.
Anyway, okay.
But yeah, that's just my take on it. I have nothing against the Bengals. You guys can have your vote. Just like you voted for Billy Joel. But for me, it's.
I mean,
well, it's good we had some conflict here because if everybody would pick the same bands, it would have been kind of,
That is true.
It would have been self-serving.
But you are right. They had more albums, which is the weirdest thing.
I know.
Because
and you figured they had more. It just seemed like they were around long enough. Longer than that.
But obviously the Go-Go's broke up for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then they tried getting back together a couple times.
We kept hearing the songs on the radio and stuff. We just kind of figured, that's got to still be around in some way, shape, or form.
No, the thing is, like, when they were touring, when they toured, because their first three albums were basically their, when they had the biggest following, right?
Yeah.
They were still drawing pretty good crowds for the third album. I mean, they weren't like playing clubs. So it was more their fault than anything else.
Because the drugs and the alcohol kicked in, and
it was a lack of
the egos
production. I don't know if that album sold as well as the other two, probably not, but it was still. I mean, they had MTV was showing the video, and so
no, it's like I say. I mean, I think it was one of them things where they shot out so quickly, got up, and
it's like every other, a lot of bands.
Their egos started getting in the way of everything.
Yep.
And they started arguing and stuff like that. And I want more writing time because I think Jane was. She was feeling slighted, I think, wasn't she, for a while there?
I think she's.
Yeah, and then she had a solo career that went nowhere.
And she.
But then she ended up having like a little mini acting career. She played in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. She was Joan of Arc.
Yeah,
I think her sexuality is conflicted too, though.
I think
could
so
be.
Too. Yes, I think so too.
Well, she had short hair. Did you say people with short hair could be?
Yeah.
Thank goodness this thing isn't televised.
That one's a for sure thing. She's open about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, and like I say, she tried to soul.
I'm kind of surprised didn't think that when they were around.
I was really surprised that Charlotte Caffey had a horrible heroin addiction.
Oh yeah, I know. They had.
She hid that perfectly because
she did.
When she went on and talked about that, I'm trying to look at the old videos and stuff. I don't see her like all rings around her eyes or all. So she must.
Now, when they tour now, do they all play?
Yeah, the bands. When they do tour or whatever,
everybody plays. I thought one of them.
I think the bass player may not be involved anymore, but I think the rest of them are on board. If I had to guess, or if not, at least 75% of them.
Bass player is
obviously Belinda and Charlotte are tied at the hip, and then Gina I know comes in and out, but she's had some health issues. And
they've done these little tours. I know.
No, the bass player,
Kathy Valentine.
That's right, Kathy. Oh, that's right.
Well, then later on there was another Gia something or other and stuff.
Yeah. Because she was doing something with someone else, I think.
Yeah.
And then, because I remember watching.
They always said she was the best musician in the band.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you really think, I mean, the guitar works nothing.
Hey, so real quick here, just for the hell of it. So what do you think of the new Twisted Sister lineup?
Oh, I was going to say that. What the hell?
What? Yeah, what is it?
Dee Snider. I'll let Mike finish it, but let me start it.
I heard something about this.
Let me finish it. Mike will finish it. I'll start it. Well, Dee Snider announced he can no longer perform physically anymore on stage because of whatever illnesses or he's breaking down.
Okay.
So they announced that. Mike, take it away.
Sebastian Bach is going to replace him.
That's
unbelievable.
But just for some shows. They're not going to do a big tour albums. He's just doing it to fulfill some.
I thought
so they're
that
going to do like
was
4 or 5. They said they're going to probably do a couple shows in the U.S. They never announced any U.S. shows with Dee Snider.
Okay.
They had all these festivals, but
unbelievable.
They canceled the festivals, and I guess they're going to go out in like September, October in Europe.
Oh, really?
Do like 4 or 5 shows, and then they got some that they still have to announce, a couple in the States, but it's not a big thing. It's like Bach's still going to do his solo
mind-boggling.
stuff. But
Kinda
you know
like
what? The funny thing is, on the way here, I heard they did it. There was a tribute album like a couple years back that Sebastian Bach sang "You Can't Stop Rock and Roll." They played it.
All right.
He sounds just like Dee.
Oh,
It
okay.
actually sounds really good.
Well, really?
I heard that, and I'm going, boy, that's going to be a train
I know.
wreck.
When I heard him play that song, I was like, now I know why they picked him. He sounded just like him.
Okay.
Now,
You know, Sebastian Bach, as much of an ass he can be, you know, he did Broadway. He's got a good voice. He can sing a lot of things. And as much as he can be a son of a gun, he's like, but
he's also a television
Skid Row
show.
wants nothing to do with him. And I mean, Skid Row could go out with him and sell. Probably at least do a Freedom Hill
He
or
must have burned some
amphitheater
bridges.
shed tour where they don't have him. They're playing a token clubs, you know.
Yes.
Yet they want nothing to do with him.
I know.
Actually, when I first heard that, I'm going, okay, you know what? That doesn't make sense. Kind of like Paul Rogers fronting Queen.
I thought that was a joke
Axl
at first.
fronting AC/DC. All these things came in my head. I'm going, boy, this is just not going to.
No,
I thought the same thing. And then when I heard that song, you'd be, you know, and they can do studio stuff. So, but when you hear it and you hear, you know how he sings, he can do it. I'm telling you, it's. Not that I'm his biggest fan.
That's
but
a good song.
Out of anybody else, they could. I don't know who else they could have picked.
Now, do they
He's got
tour
good range.
with the makeup still?
No, I heard they're not.
they're not just going to go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I know obviously it's
they're going to
JJ's
more
band.
tribute to the music.
Gotcha.
Thing.
All right.
Yeah, because I know JJ owns the name.
Yeah,
Twisted
JJ
Sister.
and Eddie.
It's JJ, Eddie.
Okay.
Mendoza's dead, isn't he?
Yeah,
One of them died.
One of them, yeah.
I
bass
forgot
player.
who the drummer's gonna be.
Ojeda?
AJ Pearl is the drummer.
AJ's dead.
He's the one
Is
that
he?
died? Okay.
Yeah, he died.
And the bass player is
They
gonna
said
be?
on the radio who the drummer was going to be, and I can't remember. It's somebody I don't really know.
Okay. But then the other 3 members are going to be, the rest of the 3 other members are going to play.
Yeah.
The 2 guitar players and the drum. 2 guitar players.
I
and
don't
the bass
know
player.
about the other guitar player. I didn't hear.
Because I know JJ's involved. I know.
The big thing was Dee Snider. I mean,
Right.
everybody's.
I thought that was a
associates him
joke
with
at
him.
first. I thought it was one of them joke things or whatever. Because I remember hearing what you mentioned. I'm like, yeah, I heard something about that.
I had to
just
read
thought
it
was a
twice.
joke.
I had to read it. Come on,
yeah,
that just doesn't make sense.
Well, when they announced that Dee Snider was going to cancel, it was kind of there was kind of an undertone that this isn't over yet. I kind of figured they were going to try to do something, but I didn't think they were going to pick because I read somewhere where Dee Snider suggested his son.
Oh, really?
He's got a son. I don't know how he sings, but and he also suggested Sebastian Bach.
Okay.
So he's all in for it, I guess. D. Snyder.
Is he
doesn't
going
have a problem.
to is he going to attempt to do any shows or anything? Or
I don't know.
no? Okay.
Supposedly, it's just he's like 70 years old. He's got issues, nothing major that's going to kill him. But his doctor suggested he doesn't. He's too active, and he's,
Right. You can't just be D. Snyder and go up there and stand up there and just kind of take it easy.
Yeah. But when you really listen to him, he does have a unique voice.
Yeah, he does.
You know.
Now, Sebastian did have a television career too for a while.
What was that?
He did a reality TV show.
No, well, he was also on a regular TV show. He wasn't a regular member, but he was a bit person on a TV show.
Yeah,
he played a band member, a member in a band.
Not that 70s show.
Nope.
Brady Bunch.
Nope. Gilmore Girls.
He was?
He was on the Gilmore Girls for one of the later seasons, one of the seasons 5 or 6.
I never really watched that show.
One of the
That's
regulars.
A dirty secret for Kurt.
One of the regulars. One of the girls.
Why were you watching a Gilmore Girl?
I was
because the mom was hot.
Thing.
Because the mom was hot.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I think we might want to wrap this up. Kurt needs a towel.
Remember we were talking about the dirty little secret things and stuff?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I
would have kept that one a secret.
Yeah, I would have too.
I watched.
Thanks for oversharing. All right, wrap this up before we say something else.
We want to talk about more about Sebastian Bach and his.
No, we're not.
All right. So
yeah, we're done with the Sebastian.
Yeah. Okay.
That was just. I wanted to see what you guys thought about that.
No, it's funny you bring that up. I wanted to bring it up too, but I forgot about it. That's good that you did.
Okay.
Because that was interesting.
All right. Okay. Well, hope you liked the show today. It's
he just had a hard time wrapping things up.
All right.
I guess I'm going to probably have to write things out that I can read.
All right.
We need cue cards.
Okay. Thanks for listening. And if you'd like to make a comment, you can.
You can also with the band.
Huh?
The COP project.
We got something going.
Anything going on with that?
Yeah. I got band members now.
Okay.
Yeah, I got Anthony. Anthony's playing drums.
Who?
We're going double names.
Oh.
It's Anthony on drums, Patrick on bass, Michael on keyboards and vocals, and me Curtis on guitar. And we're kind of working about. We were looking at kind of like that 80s.
Mike's face. If you could see Mike's face right now.
What?
Wrap this thing up.
I thought he had a stroke for a second. It was so distorted.
No, you guys were asking about the band. I'm telling you.
We don't need a story now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it still in the works?
Yeah, we're working now with it now.
Okay.
We're working with a couple of members of Trouser Cleavage. They're kind of helping us out.
We got to wrap up. We've got to wrap it up now.
All right. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to make a comment, you can always email us at themusicexamination@gmail.com. Or you can leave a comment on the page. So take it easy and we'll hear from you again.
You can't